scoop?
My boss just started sweating like Fred Flintstone, picking up a rack of ribs down at the. Do you remember when he was at the drive-thru and he had his car and the chick threw the rack of ribs on his car? Do you remember? That's my boss is sweat like bullets coming out of his forehead after I talked about the tennis phenom. She's aged well. Anyway, someone told me I aged well today, and I'm pretty sure they were lying. Maybe it was those 200-300 pounders I was in the hot tub with over at the pool this morning. You know what I was trying to do, Carver? I was trying to turn them onto the SportsGrid app in the hot tub, and it wasn't going over well. But the sun wasn't out yet. I think if the sun was out, if it was hotter, I might have been able to hook them. But I don't think I convinced them to cross over to the app.
Wait a second. Time out here. What do you mean the sun? The sun's not out there? You telling me the sun isn't out?
Let's just be honest. I'm at the New York, so don't waste your time calling. I blocked the phone. Here's the deal. I go. The sun comes out in Las Vegas. It's bright. There's not a cloud in the sky. It's 90 degrees already. It's perfect.
They got it behind those buildings. That pool's behind the buildings there. So I've stayed there before.
Right. Well, the sun comes around the corner like a horse race, and then eventually it breaks out. So I swam laps, and then I got in the hot tub with these two heifers. Can you say that on the air? And they were both wearing sunglasses. I was like, the sun's not out yet. That was the first thing I said to them. They were like, listen, Chuck. They gave me the business, these two. And I was like, I was so cool to them. They're like, what do you do? I said, I do a TV radio show, and I'm here covering the boxing. What boxing? I said, well, there's a big fight here this weekend. And the girl goes, well, there's a lot of Mexicans here. I said, it's Mexican Independence Weekend. And Canelo Alvarez is fighting. And the chick goes, who? And I went, never mind.
You got to remember, look, you got to remember in that town.
I go, no.
In that town,
right.
There's a lot of people there, and 90+% of them have no idea there's a fight going on.
I know.
Any fight going on there, they are there for their own story, their own party, their own.
Right.
They got no clue what's going on anywhere else. And like you said, it's a nuisance to them that what are all these fight fans doing around here? Get out of my way! I'm trying to go play $50 hand blackjack across the street.
Right.
It's just they don't want anything to do with it. It's just a nuisance to them. So I can understand that, but
most
it
of
sounds
them are
like
playing
you made new
penny
friends.
slots.
Man, I can't believe they still get everybody with those penny slots out there every month when that report comes out.
I filmed this morning, right? I filmed walking through the casino. I filmed literally just for the fun of it. I filmed people at literally Mafia and I worked out at 5:30 in the morning. At 8 in the morning, I went down to swim. And I filmed people that every single slot machine was filled with someone. There was someone sitting at almost every slot machine in the place at 8 in the morning. I'm like, I am in hell. What is happening here? Like at 8 in the morning, you can't even sleep or go to breakfast. You got to hit the slot machine at 8 in the morning. It reminds me of Kathy O. She goes down there 20 hours a day in the high slot room and plays. She literally plays 20 out of 24 hours a day. You can't even peel her out of there. She didn't even go to the bathroom. I mean, she just sits there and 20 a pull. She just keeps hitting it. If she knew how to work the app, like if she was on the betting app on the phone, we'd have lost everything already. I mean, she would have, the family fortune down the drain. All right, where are we at here, Carver High?
All right, let me get a couple things done with you here, and then after the doc, we'll have to start going through all these games for this weekend. All right, first, we mentioned 31-10 Bills win, 3 touchdowns for James Cook in the game. Let me play this. I want to see if I can get you more excited than Al Michaels actually was last night on Prime Video. I mean, Al, it's Cook's 3rd touchdown of the game. Can we give a little juice here, Al? Here it is from last night.
Come on.
49-yard line. On the ground, breaking tackles, James Cook inside the 20, inside the 5, somersaults for the touchdown. Whoa.
Oh, thanks, Al. Whoa,
Listen,
yeah, I mean, Al, his third of the game's a 49-yard rip, Al. I mean, can we get a little excited here at some point that the Bills are beating up the Dolphins?
After last year. Wasn't last year the end of that? No, he's still doing it.
Yes. He's still going. It's amazing. It really is. And we love Al, all-time great. Done it all in the business. We believe it. We believe in miracles, the whole deal.
I think
get
those two fit like OJ's glove. Honestly, they don't fit together.
I like Herbie. I do. I like
him
Herbie
on college. I like him on
course,
college.
Yes. College is his game. That's what it should be.
I'm not. I got to be honest with you. I totally respect him in college, and in pro football, he does absolutely nothing for me. I'm sorry. I just tell it like it is.
It can't be easy when the guy spends 6 days a week. But I'm just saying. I'm saying he spends 6 days a week on college, right? Like, I mean, he's diving in Friday game day. He's calling a game on Saturday. He's doing everything. Sunday, Monday. He's doing college 85% of the week. It's got to be difficult for him to just all of a sudden on Thursday just pop in and do some NFL game. Now, I'm sure he does the work in the week on the teams he's seeing, but it can't be easy for him.
Who I actually like that I think's doing a really solid job doing games now on college football is that kid Matt Berry on ESPN. Like he did that Texas State game last night, and I've seen him obviously do 100 games over the last couple of years, and I think he does it with Dan Mullen. I think I actually think that kid can call a game, and I call him a kid because I'm 30 years older than him. I guess when you get to be my age, everyone's a kid, but I'm telling you, I think that kid can call a game. I think he's pretty decent because we don't see a lot of new blood that's doing games that's actually good enough to remember their name. I think that Ian's kid, Noah, they've given him carte blanche, and he's good at doing games. I think he's obviously earned his stripes. But I can, it's a very rare amount of them that you'll hear me mention that I think stand out that, I'm impressed with, seriously.
So obviously, Josh Allen really wasn't his night last night. It was about the defense. It was about Cook. I'm actually going to skip Josh because I want to make sure I play McDaniel before you get to the doc, of course, coming up. And everybody's got an opinion today about Tua with him getting this concussion last night. This was McDaniel right after the game talking about his quarterback.
My thought was concern, and I was just worried about my guy. So, not something that you ever want to be a part of. You hope not to.
Yeah, listen, he's obviously in shock.
Everyone's saying the same thing, Mike. Like this is very serious stuff, but this is at the same time ridiculous. This is to me foolishness. This is absurdity if they let this guy keep playing professional football. I have told you a number of times, I have been around concussed players. When the Thrashers drafted Patrick Stefan, he had already had multiple concussions. And I said that night, I'll never forget it. I think this is why Don Waddell didn't like me. I was live on the air doing the draft, and I said, what in God's name are you doing drafting a guy that's had multiple concussions? I said he won't last in the NHL 5 minutes once he gets hit at this level because he had never been at that level. He'd been playing in Europe and playing in the minors and whatever and, in the juniors. And they drafted him, and he never lasted. He got his bell rung, and that was it. And they gave him all that money. Guys that have multiple concussions do not survive in professional sports for 5 minutes. That's just all there is to. I don't care what it is, boxing, hockey, football, any sport, you name it, I could care less. If you have multiple concussions, you have brain injuries, you are doomed. You're going to have advanced dementia. You're going to have Alzheimer's. You're going to have CTE, and you're going to die. You will eventually become a noodle. What is wrong with people? He should not be allowed to play professional football anymore.
it's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards.
That was
in! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Talk about your freshman year at Alabama and even the redshirt year that got you ready to perform at the highest level.
You had to learn a lot about humility, about being patient to play at Alabama. And you still knew that you're going to have a shot to win a championship every year. And so that's the line. And so I think that's what's really missing with today's football. You got NIL, you got social media.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Everyone had him Rookie of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Bears are going to the Super Bowl, Eberflus Coach of the Year. He was terrible.
If he's going to be a success, he's got to play within structure as much as possible. I get it. If the pocket breaks down, throw off the platform. That's fine. But within structure, when the play is there to be made, you need to make it, and he didn't do that.
Ferrall Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
147 yards against the Jets and a touchdown? Man, the numbers are incredible.
It's the Shanahan connection, and that's just what it feels like. And, Jordan Mason came into that game with a career 5.6 yards per carry. He's always been a very tough runner. He's always been good when called upon in small doses. You mentioned the yardage, which was impressive, but 28 carries. That's what I'm looking at.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, back in Vegas at the MGM Grand for, of course, Canelo and Berlanga on pay-per-view, Prime Video, tomorrow night, PBC at the T-Mobile Arena, and an absolutely fantastic undercard. Order the fight now on your cable operator, or you can even get it on DAZN.com or PPV.com. And obviously, I'm going from the third row to the first row, so I'm really moving up. I'm like your boy George Jefferson Carver High over here. Bruce has moved me from, I was in row 5, then row 3, now I'm row 1. As you know, I'm one step away from, I actually believe, getting into the ring and fighting someone.
That's a good thing. You want to be that close, and you're going to be there for a lot of great fights. So make sure. I know sometimes you don't get in there. You go get something to eat. You don't get in there until maybe the fight before the last fight. It sounds like
every time
it sounds like you've got really 3 or 4 fights that you want to see this time. So you might have to, and you're sitting in the front row, so that's like a double reason for you to get there a little bit earlier maybe than you usually do. There for a fight night. All right,
I told you yesterday I filed a formal protest that you have to be at the next big fight. And I'm waiting for a correspondence back from senior management.
Let me know how it goes. Whatever they decide.
One of the bosses called me today, emailing me. I had that. That was a response I got. As if he didn't know me. These things happen.
Let me press on here with everything that I have for you, because we have all these games to get to. I want to at least play a couple videos for you. Of course, the Steelers, after the win in Atlanta, back-to-back road games, they will go to Denver this week. It will be Justin Fields again. Here is Mike Tomlin on his team heading back on the road for a second week in a row.
The first thing that I think about when I think about going to Denver is the environment. Particularly at this portion of the season.
Every time you go.
It is a hostile and challenging environment in a lot of ways. From a crowd noise perspective, from a conditioning perspective. And so, we can't run from that. We got to run to that. We need to prepare with those things in mind this week to get ourselves in the very best position to perform from a conditioning perspective, to work with crowd noise, particularly on offense and in those weighty moments. We did similar things last week in terms of preparation for Atlanta. And so it's helpful to us to have that experience under our belt this week as we prepare with those things in mind.
Well, let's just compare the two. Nobody cares about the Falcons, and people barely go. More people go to Georgia football games and want to go to Georgia football games than Falcon games. And everyone in Denver goes to the Broncos game. Literally, every seat is sold out, no matter if they're good or bad. And the Steelers are literally donuts in Denver. They have never won a game there. They literally are like 0-9,000. I have been to every single loss the Steelers have ever had there. It is a bloodletting every time they go. Like, honestly, if they win there, I will keel over. And especially with that Fields throwing picks. Listen, Denver was okay last week, and then they let it slip through their fingers as well. You know, they were playing well, and then they weren't. The second half was a disaster at Seattle, right? Wasn't that game at Lumen Field? I think they lost in McDonald's first game in Seattle. Look, I don't think the Broncos are better than the Steelers. I don't think Bo Nix is better than Justin Fields. But I think that city, that stadium, that atmosphere, at least Tomlin has that right. He's like, it's a very hostile place. It's a graveyard for the Steelers. They go there to get buried. I have seen more playoff losses and more losses there. Two of them, you've talked about them, the Tebow game and the Braxton over the top with a second left. And the Steelers should have won that game all day. I got on that team plane and flew back with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and all I remember was getting on the plane, and Myron Cope looked at me, and he said, shut up. Just shut up. Don't say one word out of your mouth, your fat mouth. And I just, because, I was young and dumb, I was like, that sucked. And he's like, shut up. I was like, okay.
-2.5 for the Steelers.
They're going to
one
lose.
of our many road favorites this week, and 36.5 is the total. So you're on the Broncos this week, huh? You're on Denver.
36-point total. How disastrous is that? That's like having a bad dinner. 36. Are you kidding me? That's like inviting failure.
It is like inviting failure. That's precisely what it's like. Next, the Jets off a Monday night loss in San Francisco. They also will play 2 weeks in a row on the road in Tennessee this time. Remember back in the day in Green Bay, Scotty, when Aaron Rodgers did the whole everyone's got to relax thing? I know that probably works in Green Bay, but it doesn't work as well in the New York City area. Here's Aaron Rodgers telling everybody, just relax. We're going to be okay.
I mean, I think we always got to stay relaxed. It's a long season. I think at times people think the season is like you're out in the prairie or the desert and you're wandering around trying to find water. But it's more like a nice, slow bolero, where we're just swaying with the music and reacting to whatever comes to us and through us, and just trying to not get too high with the highs or too low with the lows. The league is a lot different than when I said relax years ago, in that there's just so much more coverage, that there's so much more opportunity for overreaction. So I get it. We want to win. Fans want to win. The organization wants to win. But the process has to be the same. If it's good enough in week one, it's good enough in the playoffs. So we got to stick to the process and the preparation, the way that goes, and trust that it's good enough.
What was good about week one? They got their ass pelted. And all I know is, but I think they're going to win this week. I really do, because I don't think I already saw Tennessee, absolutely crack eggs against the Bears. You're up 17-0, and you got, egg all over your face when it's all over and done, and you lose the game and give up 24 unanswered and lose. Look, I don't think they can stop Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers will go from $167 and a tutty and a pick to somewhere, in the neighborhood of 250 to 3 with 2 TDs and no picks. I believe Rodgers will be the difference for the Jets Sunday in Nissan in Smashville. I think the Jets are flat out better than the Titans, and that's just all there is to it.
Yeah, it's 3.5 right now, and it's 41.5 for the total. As much as I would love to see it happen again, the Titans are awful. That would be a bad scene for the Jets if they can't get it done against the Titans.
I think Quinnen Williams is going to pulverize Will Levis and plant his head in the ground.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards.
That was
in, but he had that program going there.
Only on SportsGrid.
Talk about your freshman year at Alabama and even the redshirt year that got you ready to perform at the highest level.
You had to learn a lot about humility, about being patient to play at Alabama. And you still knew that you're going to have a shot to win a championship every year. And so that's the line. And so I think that's what's really missing with today's football. You got NIL, you got social media.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Everyone had him rookie of the year, offensive player of the year, Bears are going to the Super Bowl, Eberflus coach of the year. He was terrible.
If he's going to be a success, he's got to play within structure as much as possible. I get it. If the pocket breaks down, throw off the platform. That's fine. But within structure, when the play is there to be made, you need to make it, and he didn't do that.
Ferrall Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
147 yards against the Jets and a touchdown? I mean, the numbers are incredible.
It's the Shanahan connection, and that's just what it feels like. And, Jordan Mason came into that game with a career 5.6 yards per carry. He's always been a very tough runner. He's always been good when called upon in small doses. You mentioned the yardage, which was impressive, but 28 carries. That's what I'm looking at.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
So Mafia is livid because usually they have the boxed sandwiches, and they're enormous sandwiches, and they're the size of like your head, these sandwiches that they bring in. And then today, for some reason, because it was at the T-Mobile, the weigh-in, this place, you'd think this place was on fire. If you see over my shoulder, obviously, there's no one here, not a soul in the building. Of course, Fred Sternberg's here because he's the best publicist in the business, and he's the only one here. He loves the show, so he's just sitting in a corner drinking scotch and watching the show. And then everyone else is literally running like the place was on fire. No sandwiches, no water, no coffee, no nothing, nada. No wonder Cardano had the yogurt going earlier because Mafia's livid. He's starving. He's literally chewing his fingernails.
So what they do on these days is they give everybody the carving board meal, the big meal over at the weigh-in at the T-Mobile. So like they'll have the big media meal over there today, as opposed to there in the ballroom, because that's where they expect the majority of the people to be. So you're missing out on they got like that sliced roast beef, a prime rib over there. They got the big media meal. No box lunch over there today. I mean, they got.
He doesn't want you to talk about roast beef anymore. He's starting to. Now he's eating his fingers, not the fingernails. He's eating his fingers now at this point.
Let's talk about the Packers and the Colts next. Matt LaFleur has actually been selling all week that Jordan Love is going to play on Sunday. Now, they just put the injury report out, Scotty, and he's listed as questionable. That's a lot better than doubtful and out, which makes you think that maybe there's a chance this is actually serious. Of course, last week in Brazil, he gets hurt. MCL injury, everybody says 4 to 6 weeks, minimum. Here was his quote today, before I play him yesterday. "We are glazing and doing tricks on it. We're pouring honey on our goat. Sounds like the Packers are trying to do everything they can to play him." Here's LaFleur talking about Jordan Love.
You left the door open for Jordan on Monday. Is that door any more or less open here today?
I'd say it's pretty open.
Is he progressing well?
He's doing a nice job. He's spending a lot of time in the training room. Our guys have done a great job with him, Flea and Nate, and all our athletic trainers, our strength staff, and but at the same time, like I told you guys, he's got to be cleared. We got to feel like he can protect himself. And he's got to be confident enough to go out there and do that. Until that happens, then we're not even going to think about that.
Equation, does he need to practice? He's still a young player, and obviously your quarterback. Does he need to practice to play on a game?
I'd say no.
Listen, I mean, Mike, honestly, this guy is so full of Shaq. Here's the deal. He's playing the media easy, and then, here you go. Let's send the guy out with his knee sprained. He couldn't walk on the field. He limped off. They carried him off, and now 2 weeks later he's going to play. How stupid are they?
I would rank them extremely stupid if they played him this week. This is either someone that has miraculous healing powers that Jordan Love would have. If all the diagnosis last week were true, he's got some amazing healing powers to play the next week. Or this is one of the better gamesmanship weeks I've ever seen from Matt LaFleur. But if you list him as questionable, they take that report very serious, Scotty. That injury report on Friday, taken very serious. If he's listed as questionable, then he should probably play if he's the starting quarterback of the team. He should be good enough to go out there. I don't blame him. I wouldn't want to play Malik Willis either. Right now, it's Packers +3 and 40.5 the total. I guess if you believe LaFleur, go get the Packers +3 right now, Scotty, if you believe him, that there's a chance he's going to play.
Yeah, listen, this is a game I want no part of because I don't believe in I think the sucker play is the Colts. I think that it's Richardson to get the job done. That's why they're favored, because they know that Willis sucks. They know that Clifford sucks. But I'm not so sure that at Lambeau that the Packers are in the same realm. I don't think the rest of the team's that bad. I don't think their defense is bad. I don't think they're obviously they're going to have that crowd going. I think they have every shot in the world to beat the Colts. I think the Colts are the issue. Do we believe in Richardson to go on the road and throw 2 TDs like he did at home last week, or is he going to overthrow passes, make bad decisions, and get burned by the pack, the crowd, Lambeau, the whole deal? So I don't trust that game as far as I could spit.
I don't want anything to do with the game. Willis is really bad. If it comes out an hour before, obviously, that Love's not playing, I could see playing the Colts, but I don't want anything to do with it, Scotty. Nothing to do.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards.
That was
thinking!
But he had that
Only on SportsGrid.
Talk about your freshman year at Alabama and even the redshirt year that got you ready to perform at the highest level.
You had to learn a lot about humility, about being patient to play at Alabama. And you still knew that you're going to have a shot to win a championship every year. And so that's the line. And so I think that's what's really missing with today's football. You got NIL, you got social media.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Everyone had him Rookie of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Bears are going to the Super Bowl, Eberflus Coach of the Year. He was terrible.
If he's going to be successful, he's got to play within structure as much as possible. I get it. If the pocket breaks down, throw off the platform. That's fine. But within structure, when the play is there to be made, you need to make it, and he didn't do that.
Ferrall Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
147 yards against the Jets and a touchdown? Man, the numbers are incredible.
It's the Shanahan connection, and that's just what it feels like. And, Jordan Mason came into that game with a career 5.6 yards per carry. He's always been a very tough runner. He's always been good when called upon in small doses. You mentioned the yardage, which was impressive, but 28 carries. That's what I'm looking at.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
So I couldn't believe it. We're obviously in Vegas at the MGM Grand, and the weigh-ins have been going on over at the T-Mobile Arena. So we're void of people in here at the Boxing Media Center, which has been shut down like several baseball teams' season already. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. The fight's tomorrow night. Order it on Prime Video, pay-per-view, PBC, Canelo Berlanga. Great undercard, great fights. I think you'll enjoy it from Vegas. But we're talking about the NFL still, and I think, at some level, Jamar Chase has started to, it would appear to me, lose his mind, Carver High.
I would say that he has started to lose his mind also. Of course, last week was the first time we heard from him. He was very upset that he hasn't gotten his contract extension yet. Remember, he's got 2 years left on his deal coming into this one. So a lot of people say he should calm down and wait a little bit, but that's not how it always works in the NFL. Then yesterday, he spoke about their opponent for this Sunday. That would be the Kansas City Chiefs. Among the things that he said was, the Bengals, Scotty, not the Chiefs, the Bengals are the team to beat in the AFC. They certainly didn't look like it last week at home against the Patriots. Here he is also talking even more about the Kansas City Chiefs.
Is there a certain feel or vibe when you're facing that team, a team you've played so many good games against and meaningful games?
Yeah, the energy's there, both sides. I'm sure they know we don't like them. They know they don't like us. So I mean, the energy's already there. It's not really much we got to say now to this point. It's been 4 years now, so everyone gets it.
The chirping and the talking, does that make it more fun for you?
In the game, yeah. You know what I'm saying? When the media come, y'all just blow it up and then make some stuff out of it. But I just wait till the game come now. I'm smarter than that now. I'm 4 years in.
I don't actually think he's that smart, because he does the exact same thing. He knows that when he opens his big fat mouth, everyone's going to run with it. He knows exactly what he's doing. And the difference is that that team is full of Shaq. I mean, all I hear about is the Bengals and Joe Burrow with his pretty frosted tips and how great they are. They're just not that good. I want to see all this, dominance and all this. We're better than the Chiefs. I mean, let's stop with the ridiculous stuff here. This guy has no concept of, they've gone to 6 straight title games. They've won 3 Super Bowls. They've gone to 4. I mean, the Bengals went and blew the Super Bowl, and I frankly don't see them sniffing it again. They go every couple of decades, and when they go, they always have the same result, a loss. And that's just all there is to it. And I don't care what anybody thinks of me in that city. I could give a rat's ass, honestly. How many times do they have to lose the Super Bowl before we all know they're a bunch of coifers?
They are getting 5.5 points here at Arrowhead. This is in the late window on Sunday, 4:25 East kick. 47.5. The big total, of course, we've talked enough about Taylor in the first 2 weeks, Scotty. He is 1-10 straight up in the first 2 weeks of the NFL regular season.
Well, he doesn't win and early, and it is what it is. That's a big number, though. Honestly, at 5.5, does that scare you at all? Because I'm not interested in 5.5, 6.5 spreads in the National Football League.
It scares me if I'm going to actually get the real Jamar Chase on the field. I mean, last week he wasn't out, it was like it wasn't out there. I mean, he had 6 targets. He did nothing. Because with Higgins out, and Higgins is doubtful, he's not going to play. And if Chase isn't himself, what exactly do they have after those guys now? They got rid of Mixon. They've lost some other pieces. There's not a lot out there if it's not those guys. So that's where,
then lay it.
If you're going to
lay it,
you know what? I am going to lay it, Scotty. Chiefs by a touchdown on Sunday at Arrowhead. Let's go. I will
listen. Worthy and Rice are problematic. Pacheco's problematic. Mahomes is a nightmare. And then what you have in Burrow is Pretty Boy, and what you have in Chase is Big Mouth. And he thinks he's this, he thinks he's that, and then they don't throw him the ball. If they're not going to throw him the ball, they have no chance.
And one quick injury note on the Chiefs, Scotty, as well. Remember Hollywood Brown, they thought he might be back rather quickly from that shoulder injury that he had. He missed the first game. They had to put him on IR today, Scotty. He needs surgery on that shoulder now. It is not a short-term thing. Andy Reid said today months, not weeks, for Hollywood Brown in terms of the Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver room, so not a good scene there. All right, not a good scene for the Giants last Sunday. It was a miserable scene. Their home opener, they got beaten up by the Minnesota Vikings, embarrassed. Looked like they pretty much gave up in the second half. Let's just say, Scotty, we're only a week in, and Brian Dable already seems like he's had enough. I mean, he's got 16 games to go. Your boy's going to have to saddle up a little bit here. Here he is. I mean, he ain't giving the media much of anything.
You see a quarterback who's playing with confidence?
Yeah, we played one game, so no one did good enough that first game. So, again, team sport, and we'll work on fixing it.
What is your preferred offensive identity? Like, what do you want to hang your hat on as an offense?
Scoring points.
Do you have any overarching concern that you haven't thrown a touchdown pass in preseason or the regular season?
Yeah, our focus is on trying to score points.
Oh, God, this guy. Now, listen, let me tell you, again, I'm going to reiterate. I like Brian a lot as a person. We're friendly with him. We know him. I've gone out with him. But I got to tell you, here's what I see right there. First of all, he's shrinking to begin with. He's shrinking. He's literally shrinking before my very eyes. So whatever, he obviously has taken the Ozempic or the Wegovy. He's shooting needles in his belly. My man is shrinking before our very eyes. I remember him when he was, he had a girth. He was smoking cigars. He looked terrible. He was eating everything he saw. We went to dinner with him, Mafia and I. The guy, Cardano, was with us. The guy ate everything that was near him. He was taking food off of other people's plates. He ate so much food. So first of all, he's shrinking. Second of all, I think the media, the New York media, in less than 2 years has finally gotten to him. They are so under his skin. He cannot stand those press conferences. And any guy that gives one-word answers has started to lose his mind. They are getting to him, and he's sick and tired of them, and he hates that part of his job. He should have. Now, look, when you take a job as a head coach of the New York Football Giants in New York City, the greatest city in the world, with the most vicious media in the world, bar none, second to no one anywhere, you can have it if you think you got better media than New York City, okay? They are savage, attack pit bull dogs, okay? And they attack him all day, every day, and he's lost his mind. He should have never taken a job if he couldn't handle the media, because to me, he looks like a guy that can't handle the media. I mean, they're asking him simple questions, and any guy that flips one-word answers eventually he's going to snap. Eventually, he's going to snap, and you know what happens once they snap? They get fired. And I'm right about everything.
They are in Washington against the Commanders on Sunday. Commanders -1.5, 43.5 is the total. Both teams 0-1 here.
Well, I think the Commodes are just as bad as they are. But I'll tell you this much. Honestly, I think Jaden Daniels is way more exciting to watch play football than Daniel Jones. And I'll take the Commanders. Honestly, the Giants look so anemic against Minnesota in a 100-year anniversary home opener that the entire stadium emptied out like it was on fire, and there was nobody there by the third quarter, literally no one. There was a bigger party in the tail. People enjoyed sitting in traffic rather than watching that game. They had more fun sitting in 2-hour bumper-to-bumper traffic, getting on the 3, leaving that dump than they did being in the stadium. That's how bad they are. I think Jaden Daniels beats him with his feet and his arm. And we all know Danny Dimes, the worst nickname in the history of football. That guy has not thrown a dime in his entire life.
He has, since the start of last season, he has thrown more pick sixes, touchdowns to the other team, than he has thrown passing touchdowns. Obviously, he's missed a lot of games in that area as well, but still, not a good thing to have. All right, we will come back, and we're going to start to roll through the rest of the slate, Scotty. The Niners are in Minnesota. We've got a good game in Detroit between the Bucs and the Lions. Lots of stuff to get to here.
He's the pride of Guadalajara, the Mexican maestro, the unified super middleweight champion of the world, Canelo Alvarez. His challenger, undefeated knockout artist and pride of Puerto Rico, Edgar Berlanga. It's prime time.
Canelo versus Berlanga, plus Lara versus Garcia. Saturday live on PBC pay-per-view on Prime Video.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards.
That was
thinking!
But he had that.
All right, Carver High back in Vegas at the MGM Grand, getting ready for fight night tomorrow night. But we're talking about NFL Pain Day games on Sunday, and that's clearly the topic of conversation at the head of the class.
It should be the topic of conversation, that's for sure. All right, here's the situation right now, Scotty. We got the Niners going into Minnesota this week, and we do have some up to the moment news, I guess you could say, on Christian McCaffrey at this point. It sounds like he's not going to play. It sounds like he's not going to play again on Sunday. And now the 49ers allegedly are not ruling out the possibility of maybe putting him on IR, which means he'd miss 4 games. So that's not a good scene for McCaffrey there to start the season. This line has moved from 6.5 to 5.5 for the Niners. 46.5 is the total at bank up there in Mini on Sunday.
You know, I honestly, I want to try to look at the Vikings being viable at that number. And can Sam Darnold and this team that looks so good against the Giants hang that 5.5 on the Niners and cover? I don't really see them winning. Can they cover to 5.5? That's the question. That's the bet. In my opinion, it's all right there on the table for them. I mean, that's a rowdy place.
I don't actually. I would go with the Niners here, Scotty, and I'll tell you why. I think even without McCaffrey, you saw on Monday night that they're still going to be able to move the football. And here's the other thing. I don't think the Vikings are that good. I really don't. I don't think they're a good football team. I think that they played a worse football team last week, the Giants, in New York.
They're going to get exposed.
Oh, I think they're going to get exposed. And I think that if the Niners, play the way that they usually can, I think it's a double-digit win for the Niners this week. I'm going with double-digit smash job for the Niners in Minnesota on Sunday. So I'm going to roll with them, Scotty. Next, the Raiders head east. They will be in Baltimore, home opener for the Ravens, who, of course, are coming off a loss, that opener against Kansas City. Not 8.5. This was 9.5 most of the week, down to 8.5 now, and 41.5 the total.
Yeah, I just can't see this any other way than a bloodletting. I think the Ravens had a brutal opener, and they went out there. It came down to the final play. Guy's toes out of bounds in the back of the end zone, likely, and it was just a fantastic game. They lost to him again. 5 out of 6 times they've lost to him. But I really believe that what the recipe is here is they're going to take it out on the Raiders. Now, look, I think the Raiders, a lot of people are going to buy into the Raiders in that 8.5, that Minshew and this team is better than they looked against the Chargers. Not against this guy, not against Lamar Jackson, not against Likely, not against Andrews, not against Henry, not against that defense. At the Ravens, in the Charm City, coming off a loss to the Chiefs, they are taking it out on the Raiders. You talk about double digits. Here's one for you. They're going to double digit the Raiders in the Charm City on Sunday. I'm all over the Ravens.
I'm with you. I'll go Ravens with you, Scotty, on Sunday at home. Next, the Bucs into Detroit against the Lions. Bucs played very well last week. And remember, these two played in the playoffs last year, divisional round in Detroit. Lions, this has moved to 7.5 after being 7 pretty much all week long, and a very healthy total, 51.5 this week.
Yeah, I think this one's tricky. I kind of like the Bucs in the number, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be a better game than anybody thinks. I like Mayfield. I like Evans. I like their defense. I like their coach. I like the team, and they handled their business last week. And I thought, frankly, that the Lions got lucky. I mean, I thought the Rams blew it. They had a late lead. After trailing big, they score twice. They take the lead. They blow the lead. They give them a field goal. Then they let them go the distance in overtime. 9-yard, 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 4 straight plays. I mean, the game was over. Montgomery scores. They win. Everybody thinks the Lions are unbeatable. Well, that might very well be the case that they win this game. Do they cover a 7 spot? I'm willing to say no. I think Baker Mayfield wants to get even with them. That game was in Tampa's hands. They had a shot to win that game. He threw that pick. I thought the Bucs played the Lions great in the playoffs, and I think Mayfield wants a piece of him. I know it's not at the same level, but he's got to cover a tutty. Give me 7. In the end of it, you talk about, I'm bad enough with 5. 5.5, you start giving me 7. I'm going to take it. I'll take the 7.
Throwing me a half now, too. 7.5 they're giving you now, too. So that's just, it's right there for you. Here's one that I'm licking my chops for that I love on Sunday. The Rams are in Arizona against the Cardinals, Scotty. Now, the Cardinals are 1.5-point favorites here, and the total's 47.5. I'm sorry. Sean McVay, he is 13-2 against the Arizona Cardinals in his career. Last time I checked, I know they don't have Puka shells this week, Scotty, but they still got Stafford and Kupp, right? I mean, those guys are still playing. Stafford and Kupp are still out there. I don't get it. It's almost a little trappish for me. Why are the Rams? I'm taking the Rams 1.5 here. I'm taking them outright.
That's right. They're just laying 1.5. That's all it is.
Arizona's laying 1.5. Arizona's favored by 1.5.
They're laying 1.5.
Can't figure it out.
Yeah, I'm on the Rams as well. That's
there you
laughable to me. I mean, not only that, but the Arizona did nothing. I know they scored a lot, but they lost. But the thing that stood out to me was that Harrison did nothing in that game. So what's the deal? They're not going to throw the ball to this kid? Give me the Rams. Yeah. They own them.
Give you the Rams. We'll come back, and we're going to finish the rest of the NFL. I'll save. We'll do, of course, we'll start all the college at the top of the next hour. And we'll get Sermonello and company in then, Scotty. I want to finish the NFL clean here in the second hour, and we'll start college in the third hour.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was Lincoln! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Talk about your freshman year at Alabama and even the redshirt year that got you ready to perform at the highest level.
You had to learn a lot about humility, about being patient to play at Alabama, and you still knew that you're going to have a shot to win a championship every year. And so that's the line. And so I think that's what's really missing with today's football. You got NIL, you got social media.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Everyone had him Rookie of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Bears are going to the Super Bowl, Eberflus Coach of the Year. He was terrible.
If he's going to be a success, he's got to play within structure as much as possible. I get it. If the pocket breaks down, throw off the platform. That's fine. But within structure, when the play is there to be made, you need to make it, and he didn't do that.
Ferrall Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
147 yards against the Jets and a touchdown? I mean, the numbers are incredible.
It's the Shanahan connection, and that's just what it feels like. And, Jordan Mason came into that game with a career 5.6 yards per carry. He's always been a very tough runner. He's always been good when called upon in small doses. You mentioned the yardage, which was impressive, but 28 carries. That's what I'm looking at.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, back in Vegas, Cover High. We're still banging out the rest of these NFL Pain Day snags.
Yes, let's finish these up. All right, yesterday we heard from Watson. We talked about him. He's been miserable. He's got off-the-field problems. Cleveland into Jacksonville against the Jaguars. Jags -3, 41.5 the total.
Oh, I'm on Jacksonville here at home. And Lawrence, to be honest with you, not only, the Browns, this guy has got to be stressed out. You got all this stuff coming down about sexual assaults from years ago, witnesses, videos. The league's going to be doing interviews with these women that are now suing him again. It's just one lawsuit after the next. It's years and years of this stuff. It's got to take a toll on a guy. First of all, he's from the jump. He said he's never done anything wrong, and he's never been involved in any kind of masseur controversy and sexual assaults and everything else. And he's gotten away with everything up until this point. Then he gets this gigantic contract, $260 million guarantee, whatever it is. And then now there's more women saying that he raped them. How do you even try to focus on a football game? And not only that, beyond the stress, he looked awful last week. Absolutely awful. And that was before these allegations came out. There was nothing on the table that came out before he played the Cowboys, and he got worked. He was terrible. They are getting fleeced on this deal, the Cleveland Browns and Haslam. All I'm telling you is I'm not betting on them to save my ass. I like their defense. That's it.
The Chargers, this is going to be a very long East Coast trip for the Chargers, Scotty. They're going to Carolina to play the Panthers. Harbaugh's going to keep them in Carolina all week after that, and then they'll go to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers, of course, next Sunday for the Steeler home opener. This has moved from 6.5 to 4.5. Chargers -4.5, 38.5 the total in Carolina.
Well, you would think that Herbert could beat this lousy team, wouldn't you? I mean, you would think that Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers could go out there and handle their business. I don't like the line, but I think the Panthers are awful. So I'm on the Chargers, and then I think they will go to Pittsburgh. I'm going to that game at the place the Steelers play. That's what we call it. We don't like to call it by its real name after they stripped it of the ketchup bottle. So here's the deal. I think they'll beat the Panthers, and I think they're going to lose to the Steelers in the Steelers home opener in Pittsburgh next week, and I'll be there for the game.
Seahawks go to the East Coast to play a 1 o'clock East Coast kick in New England against the Patriots. Seahawks -3.5 road favorite, 38.5 is the total. I just can't see New England giving you a big effort like that 2 weeks in a row, Scotty.
Yeah, this one's tricky. I follow your thinking on the under in the 4.5 wins that you bet on the sheet of integrity. I don't think they're good at all, but I got to tell you, they showed up looking like they had no problems whatsoever. I thought they played a really good football game. I thought they capitalized on mistakes. I thought they stunned the Bengals. I thought they played better than the Bengals. I thought they took advantage of the Bengals' errors. And believe it or not, I think they're going to give this team problems too. I think they're going to. I'm going to go with them at home at Gillette against the Seahawks. I think Seattle goes 3,000 miles and lays an egg.
Ooh, how about that? Next, New Orleans is in Dallas against the Cowboys. Cowboys minus 6.5 in the home opener, 46.5 the total.
I think the Cowboys will shred the Saints at Jerry's World in Arlington, and I think they'll do it by more than that tutty. So I think they'll cover. I like Dak and the Cowboys, not only against the Saints. I like them, every week. Like, this is a team that you're talking about 36 wins in the last 3 years. Is that about right? 12?
That's about
24,
right.
36. 12 wins each year. And I think they're a 12-win team. Again, I've told you, I think they're playoffs automatic. I think they're loaded. I think Dak's a badass. CeeDee's a badass. Micah's a badass. Diggs is a badass. I like the Cowboys every week. I'm still on the Cowboys here and moving forward.
And the Sunday night game will be the Bears into Houston against the Texans. Texans minus 6.5, 45.5 the total.
I think this is lunch money for the whole week for the kids. All you got to do is bet on the Texans here, and everybody's eating roast beef sandwiches. The Bears are going to go down there and get punked.
There you go. All the NFL for this week. But when we come back to start the last hour, I'll give you the tutties, and then the college football will start with Sermonell. I'll give you a little buffer. I'll give you the tutties, and then you can get to Rich with all the college football, and we'll go through all the games for this week. How about that?
That sounds fantastic to me, and I know we got other stuff lined up here. There's nothing happening here. Wrong. We have a lot happening here in Vegas.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Talk about your freshman year at Alabama and even the redshirt year that got you ready to perform at the highest level.
You had to learn a lot about humility, about being patient to play at Alabama. And you still knew that you're going to have a shot to win a championship every year. And so that's the line. And so I think that's what's really missing with today's football. You got NIL, you got social media.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Everyone had him Rookie of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year. Bears are going to the Super Bowl. Eberflus Coach of the Year. He was terrible.
If he's going to be a success, he's got to play within structure as much as possible. I get it. If the pocket breaks down, throw off the platform. That's fine. But within structure, when the play is there to be made, you need to make it, and he didn't do that.
Ferrall Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
147 yards against the Jets and a touchdown? I mean, the numbers are incredible.
It's the Shanahan connection, and that's just what it feels like. And, Jordan Mason came into that game with a career 5.6 yards per carry. He's always been a very tough runner. He's always been good when called upon in small doses. You mentioned the yardage, which was impressive, but 28 carries. That's what I'm looking at.
Newswire.